Hey, what's up? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. In this interview, I talked to Jim and Ricky from Income School. These guys are great. I just met them a couple weeks ago. It turns out we have a lot in common in how we build niche sites, how we view affiliate marketing and stuff like that. We don't hold anything back in this interview. Jim and Ricky tell me how they approach content and content planning, including how long their content is for most of their sites. We also talk about like the timeline it takes to reach $1,000 a month for like an average niche site. And this is sort of a crazy thing, right? Jim and Ricky, like they just reveal their sites. They just tell you what their sites are. So you can go and like reverse engineer what they're doing, take a look at how they're doing it. And that's amazing because I personally don't do that because it scares me quite a lot. I've seen so many public case studies like turn sour, right? Negative SEO, copycats, and a lot of other issues like that. So I was shocked when these guys started throwing out names of their sites and stuff. But you know what? That's their thing, and they tell us why they actually release that stuff too. So you know what? I'll shut up here. Let's go to the interview and check it out. I will say some of our audio levels are a little hot, but hopefully you can work past it and just focus on the content. Apologize for any audio issues in there. So I want to thank Jim and Ricky a ton. I encourage everyone to go check out their channel, go subscribe, go to their site, sign up for their email list. There's tons of good information in there. So I encourage you to go check out Income School and see what you can learn there. Hey, what's up? Doug Cunnington here, and I'm excited to be sitting down with these two guys, Jim and Ricky. Welcome. How are you this morning?
Awesome.
Good.
7 a.m. ready for some internet marketing.
I know. I've been drinking coffee for like over an hour now, so I should be pretty pumped, and then I'm going to crash hard later. So now you and I, well, all of us, we haven't met before, right? So this is just sort of an organic thing that happened. I had some viewers and readers from my blog say, hey, I should talk to these guys because they're really similar. They're nice. I found out we live in the same sort of region of the country. So that's why we're sitting here. Now, a lot of people probably don't even know who you are. So could you introduce yourselves? And I guess Ricky, go first.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ricky Kessler. I've been working with Jim on Income School for a few years now. I don't know what you want to know, but kind of have a strange background. Okay, so spent a little bit of time working as an engineer. I'm a chemical engineer by training, so I don't know how that fits into internet marketing very well, but I ended up here. I also earned an MBA, and so I have a bit of a business background, which also is part of sort of what led me here and what gives me a little bit of the perspective that I have. I got a family, got 4 kids now, so that keeps me busy and is also one of the huge drivers behind what I do.
Yeah, and I was a lawyer, and I started a blog about photography while I was in law school, and it really took off and is now one of the largest photography blogs on the internet. It's called Improve Photography. We have over 1 million followers on social media. So I've been running that full time for quite a few years now, and I also started working on different niche sites. And so I've created pontoonguide.com. I bought knifeup.com. Ricky and I together have camperreport.com. Ricky's working right now on cabinfreedom.com for our company, and I'm working on dirtbikeplanet.com for our company. We are teaching niche websites, but also in our business, we are working at them ourselves, and they've just been awesomely successful. It's like the thing online that we're most excited about right now is just very, very passive niche websites.
Very cool. So there's so much to unpack there. Number one, like just the engineering and law background, like it's interesting at the level that we're working. It's like a lot of people have professional backgrounds, and it sounds like, you know, we spent time in either corporate settings or at least like a high level of like professionalism. And I think that's key. Like the people that seem to be able to pull it off have like a strong background. I was going to say work ethic, but like, I guess we all know it takes a long time to do anything. So any thoughts on that? Like, have you seen other maybe students of yours who have these strong professional backgrounds?
Our students have been a pretty big mix. We've had a lot with strong professional backgrounds and pretty varying backgrounds as well. We've seen several too that haven't had much of a professional background. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about how much that may or may not come into play, and it'll be interesting to kind of look at going forward. We do definitely try to instill in our students that the patience that it takes, because that's, I think, the biggest killer of their niche website is they just give up early because they're not seeing quote unquote success in the early stages.
Sure. And I guess, Jim, for, I guess, time periods, like let's say you're going to help someone launch a new site. Let's say they just have like a little bit of experience, but they've never had a successful site themselves. So how long for, I guess, just the trajectory? What does the first 6 months look like?
So that's a really important question because most people either don't realize it or don't internalize it when they start a website. A lot of people start a website and they say, okay, I mean, a lot of people are saying like a year before you start to get significant traffic, but I'm going to do this or that or whatever, and I'm going to circumvent the growth curve. And you can definitely do that. I mean, do I think I could start a website tomorrow and earn $50, get a paycheck from it next month? Sure, I could. With no traffic today, of course I could. But until you're going to get significant income, if you're going to grow this totally organically without any, gray hat, black hat techniques, you're not going to do any link spamming, you're not going to do any social media, you're just going to build this totally organic, I'd say a year until you're into the, over $1,000 of income just from plain old Google traffic. Again, there are a lot of ways you can shortcut that and make it much quicker. But if you're just going to write articles, let Google do its thing, and you're going to get income from it, I'm going to want to wait a year before we bet on 1,000. But that seems so painful until you realize you don't have to be working every single day for a year to do that. What Ricky and I are doing is we're sitting down, we're writing 30, 40 articles on a website over the course of 45, 60 days, just every day writing an article. And then it's like we're planting a seed. We're just setting it in the ground and letting Google do its thing over time. And then you just wait. And then you can be working on another one and another one and another one, collecting these sites. And then you just give Google time and they will rank. Just Google will not give you rankings next month on a new website. It just doesn't work like that.
Right. Yep. And I see, as far as the trajectory that you mentioned, it's always good to get like confirmation that my observations are the same as like yours. So a lot of times I'll see maybe like within 6 months, someone can hit like $100 a month, give or take, right? There's so many variables. Sure. And then it can ramp up so fast up to $1,000 in a year. So yeah.
And heck yeah, it could be 5,000 in a year. 5,000 every month that you're earning at that year mark. Just depends on your niche and how well you did, etc. But when you see that big bump, it's going to be around a year.
Yeah, for sure. And for content, you mentioned like 30 or 40 posts that, you try and like launch a site with. Now, me personally, I advise people to do smaller chunks of work. So I have like the project management background. So I'm telling people to do, 10 posts, go start promoting that. I do a little promotion, white hat promotion through just networking. And then my hope is like people will get a little traffic, a little small win early so that they'll actually keep working. So I guess from the content side, there is a question here. From the content side, you said like pretty good amount of content. So how long, like how do you figure out what to write about and just content planning in general?
I like long articles. There's no question on that. Now that we've made so many successful sites and we've seen so many different niche sites, you can look back at the statistics of all the thousands of articles that you have online and you say, okay, which ones worked? Like which ones brought in I have some articles, like one single article that brings in 50, 80,000 page views in a month from one article.
Wow.
You see which ones are those big hits, really successful, and which just kind of died and never really ranked. And just consistently, as we look at those stats, it's the long articles that do well.
Yep.
And often that's counterintuitive to a new blogger because you say, oh, no, I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want to give them this big, long thing. I just want to give them short, little bite-sized pieces. That sounds nice, but I'm telling you, it just rarely works. They're long pieces of content that do well. And then you asked what type of content. that is, it just takes a long time to get a feel for. Usually what I see is newer bloggers have something they want to get off their chest. So if they're writing a blog about dirt bikes, like I have dirtbikeplanet.com is one of my niche sites, then they write like, I really don't like the motocross guys. I like the off-road. And so their blog post is titled something like, Why I Hate the Motocross Guys. And it's like, okay, that's I can see why you think it's interesting, this opinion piece, but nobody's Googling, what does Jim Harmer think of motocross guys? And so their article's never going to rank, because literally that's the only Google search that could possibly bring up that post. So you have to think instead from the user's point of view. You have to say, what are they Googling? What do they need help? Well, it's winter, and guys have dirt bikes that would need to winterize their dirt bikes. And so how about you write a post on that? That's what they're searching for. So I'm going to write the ultimate resource for this guy and actually help him out. And then, it's going to rank. Google's good at doing its job. If you write a killer helpful post,
right,
and it's answering their question, you're going to do just fine.
Nice. And I may have missed it, the length of it. So we're going long form, like how long?
I mean, sometimes they're over 4,000 words. Rarely would we hit 5,000, but we rarely want to publish a post under 2,000 words. The average, Backlinko did a study a while ago to see the number one search result from, I think they just tested 10,000 different searches, and it was 1,980 words long was the number one search result. So that's almost a 2,000 word post.
Yep.
2,000, 2,500 words is common. If it's a big keyword, something like portrait photography tips, that's a huge keyword. And so, we better put into the time and make a 3,000, 4,000 word post on that.
Cool. And as far as, I want to send it over to Ricky, first of all. So with the MBA background and the engineering, like what unique combination of like skills and interests do you bring to the table? Because I don't have a business background, so all this marketing stuff is like all brand new to me. Very interesting. So can you tell me a little bit about how all this fits together for you?
Yeah, well, so the business stuff, believe it or not, in fact, the way I see it, pretty much everything from the MBA is fairly intuitive. If you've been involved in business at all, it just all makes sense. So going to business school and having the MBA background kind of maybe gave me a leg up on marketing and just understanding how to do marketing, how to segment and understand my potential customer base or my viewers, and then how to create content for those specific segments that seem to come to my websites. Some of the things that helped me a little bit were, I guess, negotiations, just understanding economics. So just business school is all about, how do people think in large groups and how do they behave in large groups? And then how can we use that to provide them with the resources or the products that they want? The engineering background, though, gives me a little bit more of an analytical approach to things. And people might, if they come and watch our YouTube videos, they're gonna see that we don't do a lot of traditional keyword research using the tools. We do keyword research. We like analytics. In fact, we love numbers. We love statistics and using that. And so people maybe get the wrong impression there. But I definitely take a very, very analytical approach to the work that we do and the content that I write. I think that's kind of how it all fits together. I mean, it's kind of hard to sum up in, 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, and I think you probably internalize so much of the business stuff because I can guarantee you a lot of people just don't get it. Like I know you were saying, like if you spend a little time, you figure it out. That's true. Like you get some intuition, but I bet you internalized a lot of like the analytics and then all the stuff. I didn't even take any business classes, so It's all brand new. And I bet you picked it up just over time, sitting through hours.
Yeah. No, and that's probably true. And there's probably a lot that we do, with Jim's law background and my business background and engineering background. There's probably a lot that we do that we don't realize we're doing that because of our background.
Yep.
It's like you say, we just kind of internalize it. And I would imagine also, with somebody with project management background like you, there's probably a lot that you do. You probably take a more systematic approach to your website work than most of your students would naturally want to take just because you have that background. So that's just how you do things.
Yep. I noticed something very interesting. You guys mentioned the sites that you're working on, which scares me to death, right? Like I try and, keep it close to the chest just because of copycats, negative SEO and issues like that. So Can, each of you tell me a little bit about like why you decided to be public with the sites and the concerns that you may have about it?
The only way to be successful online is to be authentic. The only way. We see it all the time when people are even creating tiny little niche sites about archery tips. Simple will go in there and just write best compound bow, best recurve bow, best release, best archery target, best this. And it's just such spammy crap that there's no way this website is ever going to rank on Google. It's just never going to happen. When people read it, it doesn't feel real, and they know it isn't. People intuitively know when someone is not being authentic with them. And I believe about opening the kimono and sharing the business is a part of that, as part of that authenticity. Is there a potential for something to happen? Sure. But you know what? If you need a niche site idea, just go to incomeschool.com and search for niche site ideas. We have a post there with 50 niche site ideas, ones that we like, we would love to take on, and we just don't have time for right now. If you need that, go to our YouTube channel, Income School. We have like 6 different videos of just giving different niche site ideas. Ideas are cheap. There are so many different niches you could go into that would work just fine. The problem is just executing it. I mean, it's not like I was the first person to, have this idea to make a website about dirt bikes. Like, genius, Come on. There are lots of websites out there about dirt bikes. There are lots of websites about cabins, a lot of websites about knives and boats, etc. that we've all made these successful sites in. The ideas are cheap. So just go out there and make awesome content for people. We like to share our numbers. We show you our Google Analytics, show what posts are doing the best. We share it all on the Income School YouTube channel, and it's part of just what we do. If we didn't do that, if we weren't authentic and open like that, I don't think I could feel like I could do this business, because it just wouldn't feel real to me. I feel like I'm not giving everybody my best.
I would just have to echo what Jim said. I'm not really worried about copycats for the same reasons. The internet is such a huge place. That's what makes this work for all of us. It's huge. There are tons of different people out there. And, if somebody's going to copy my idea, if they're behind me, if I've already got 20 articles up because I've been writing every day, most people aren't going to keep up with that pace. And if they are, and they really want to copy, and they're going to steal every topic of every article I write, I'm going to assume that I did it first, I did it better, and I'm going to do more of it. They're going to be behind me, which means I'm probably going to own those keywords more quickly than they will. Now, that won't necessarily happen in every case. And somebody may come in and steal all of my ideas on a website, and I may lose that one, and I've lost some time. Sure. And if that happens, then maybe I'll rethink how open I am just about my new websites, and maybe I won't share them until I've got a good 20 or 30 posts up. But I feel like we get a lot more value out of that openness and authenticity.
Yeah, people need to see real examples. It's hard to do this, hard to start an internet business when you don't really have this guarantee of income. Nobody has really told you how much their website earns or how much traffic there gets or how long it takes. And then you're supposed to sit here and dedicate a year of your life building this website? What? No, you're going to have to see people's success. You're going to have to see what's working and what's not working. And I will say we have niche sites that flopped, and we share those too. You need to see those if you're going to learn. I feel like that kept me back years in my business, is the fact that nobody would share the goods. You have all these people had to have their internet marketing podcasts and everything. You can tell they're always couching. They're always holding a little bit back. And that held me back for years because I didn't know anybody else that did this. And so I had to learn every single thing by trying it and failing and trying something else and failing. And we'd love to help people circumvent that.
Yeah, you're making me, I'm like, I should tell my site, but.
Come on, dog.
It's too scary. I don't know if I could do it. So, especially around the holidays here. I'm going to go back to earlier in the conversation. How do you guys know each other? How did you start working together on Income School?
So, actually, Jim and I have known each other since the beginning of high school, I guess, is about the time. We both grew up in Meridian, Idaho, and just became friends in high school.
Worst enemies. We both liked the same girl.
That's exactly true. It was really weird that one day that switched and suddenly we became friends because we realized we liked pretty much all the same stuff, including the girl. But but no, I mean, we both moved off to college. We both did completely different things. And Jim was doing photography, and I was working for a chemical company. And Jim started Income School. And one day he calls me up and is like, I think Income School needs to succeed. This information needs to get out there, but I've got too much going on to run this by myself. Would you be interested in partnering with me? And that was the start of Income School, as this partnership between the two of us. Shortly after that, actually, I had the opportunity to move back to Idaho. I was in Texas at the time. So now we're both back in Idaho, living nearby. And obviously you see our YouTube videos where sit next to each other and record these videos. So it's been really fun because, it's a couple of old friends getting back together and working on this. But prior to that, I didn't really have any experience with niche websites. I pretty much learned everything on the fly once I started on Income School. And since then, I've built several sites and had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people on their websites, which is what's given me my experience.
Very cool. Yeah, that's neat. It's hard to find people, that are interested in working on this stuff just in general, but then to have someone in your town that, so yeah, that's really cool, guys. Very interesting. So I want to totally switch gears again to productivity. So I'm productivity geek. I'm always interested in that kind of stuff. Generally, while I like tools and apps and all the fancy stuff, I usually just use a notebook and a pad of paper is my typical thing, even though I'm a project manager and all that. So just curious, with students, or if someone just needed productivity help, how do you guide them? How do you set them up for success?
I'm not organized enough to give them any productivity tips, so this one better be you, Ricky.
That's fair enough. And this kind of comes from my engineering background. I'm a nerd. I keep track of everything, right down to the bank account. But as far as productivity goes, organization does help a lot, even if it is on paper. I would say that here's the number one thing: is anytime you have an idea, whether it's an idea for an article or maybe it's a new to-do list item, whatever it is, as soon as that comes into your mind, it needs to get written down somewhere. You can write it on a piece of paper on your notepad. I use my Google Calendar, my Outlook calendar to set reminders for myself, here's an idea I had, I need to come back to this. But what happens, I think the biggest danger to productivity is when you get a whole bunch of stuff that's built up in your mind that starts weighing on you, and people get stressed out and they don't even realize, in an 8-hour workday, I could accomplish 90% of what's weighing down on me that's been bugging me for a week.
Right.
And the problem is that until they get that out of their head and down on paper, they can't see the step-by-step items that need to get done. So get it out of your head, get it on paper, and then do it. How you organize your schedule, your time, what app you use, or if you just use a piece of paper, that's okay. But get it out of your head and get it on paper so that you can actually get to work. That's my number one productivity tip.
Cool. And I think, I never read the book, Getting Things Done, but is that pretty similar to that?
That's where that comes from.
Okay.
He has a whole process for what you do with them once you get them on paper. But for me, just that step of getting it out of my head and getting it on paper, man, that's killer. It works. And then again, like I said, what you do with it from there is up to you, how you handle those tasks. But, if I have 100 ideas of articles come into my head, I better get them on paper. It's just going to bother me until I write them. And then when I go to write them, I won't remember them all. So get stuff down, get it on paper.
Yep. Interesting. Yeah. And I guess that's probably not too far off from what I do. So I guess I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
As long as I'm writing stuff down. Okay. We're coming towards the end, but everyone would get upset with me if I didn't ask about link building. So in our pre-discussions, link building never came up. So what's the approach with link building from an Income School perspective here?
There is no approach.
What?
We do absolutely no link building. None whatsoever. And it has worked just fine for us. An example of it is camperreport.com. We started this website almost exactly a year ago. And today, it started a year ago, we wrote 24 articles on it. It's really not that much. You could do that in 2 weeks. We wrote 24 articles on the website and then nothing. We just sat it there. Did nothing, no link building, no nothing. Well, today it's bringing in 66,000 page views a month with no link building whatsoever. It works just fine. It's totally fine to never do link building. We get that links help your website to rank. But guess what? If you're making awesome content, it comes organically. ImprovedPhotography.com has been around for 8 years now? Well, it has 19,000 backlinks, and I didn't create one of them. If you create great content, the links will come naturally. Will they come as fast? No. Can you rank as fast? No. Is there value to it? Yes, to link building. We totally get that. But our approach is content really is king. So just make good content and let Google do its job. It's going to find you just fine doing absolutely nothing. And we've done it over and over and over again with different sites that have tons of traffic, and we're just not doing link building, and it really does work. So we get the value of link building, but when it comes right down to it, my time is better spent creating content.
And that's exactly it, Doug. So if you're making niche websites full time, or if you have a team of people that are working with you, you've got a social media marketing manager and you've got a backlink guy, then you might have to, and a cubicle. Yeah. Go ahead. Absolutely. Backlinks are, like Jim said, we don't think they're a bad thing. But the thing is that the students that we work with in almost every case are people that have a full-time job, that are trying to build a side income that will enable them to later quit their job or retire better, that kind of situation. And so they have an hour a day that they can work on stuff. And I would rather they spent their hour a day writing awesome content, especially because beginners, an article that might take me an hour to write because I'm used to this might take them 3 hours. So they're 3 days in on that article. And so would I rather they spent those 3 hours, reaching out to people to try to get a backlink, begging for backlinks or paying for backlinks. I'd rather they spent that time writing awesome content. Like I said, if you have more time available to you, then yeah, sure. Go ahead and put in that effort on backlinks. They'll speed up the process of ranking in Google. And I know that's a part of what you talk about and what you teach. So I don't want to completely slam on backlinks. They're not a bad thing. I want to make that clear. But we just feel like our time, if it's very limited, like it usually is, it's better spent on content.
For sure.
Well, and you mentioned time, Ricky, and I agree with you for sure that it definitely just takes time to do that where you could be making content. But also think about how many thousands and millions of times it has happened that a blogger creates a site, works and works and works for months to create this thing, does some backlinking, maybe goes a little too far, and then hammer comes down from Google, and all of that work is gone. Potentially years of work are gone. And we just have almost, like when I hear Google has this big update, I usually don't even read the article because it's going to be fine. I've weathered a lot of Google updates, and it's never touched my traffic at all. Like I've never seen a dip in traffic from any kind of Google update, and that's in almost 10 years of blogging. And so it's just, we're in it for the long game. We're not trying to build quick crash and burn websites. We're in it for the long game, and so I just don't want to add any element of risk to the business either. And can you get traffic? Yeah, absolutely. Millions of page views with no backlinking.
That's awesome, because people hate building backlinks. Even people in my mastermind group, we just don't like link building. It's not like a fun thing to do. So it's refreshing to hear you both be so blunt about it. And I agree to a large extent, not 100%, but a large extent. I think we understand the value. So very cool. Well, we are wrapping it up here. And where can we find you guys if people want to learn more? Where should we send them?
Well, we know the answer. We're just trying to decide who's going to talk. No.
Everything we do is at incomeschool.com. On incomeschool.com, you'll see Niche Site School, but mostly our YouTube channel is where we're most active. Every single Monday, we have a new video for you. That's at youtube.com/user/incomeschool.
All right. And I'll put links so it's easier to get to. And people should sign up for your email list. You talk about a lot of the sites in there, like provide case studies and all that stuff. So I encourage people to check out your email list and sign up. And I'll put a link below so everybody can get to it. So, all right, thanks guys. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks, Doug.
All right, thanks again to Jim and Ricky. Again, if you are interested in hearing more from these guys, go check out their channel and subscribe. Go to their website and sign up for their email list too. You'll learn a ton, and these are just nice guys. So if for no other reason, they're cool guys, and I encourage you to check it out. Thanks.